Good morning, everyone. Today, again, I thought I'll talk about this karmic consequences. We from India, if you do not know that, not worth being called an Indian. But of course, I quote from this book, Many Mansions by Gina Serminara. So let me quote. Criticism as a profession, of course, claims a very small minority of people. But on the planet Earth at present, there are approximately 2.5 billion critics of non-professional standing. Probably no other profession claims so many amateur practitioners who pursue their vocation with such unfailing interest from the time they first learn to talk to the time death seals their lips. It is not an expensive pursuit in terms of the coin of the realm. It is more universally available than eating. Unlike other forms of human amusement, it can be engaged in outdoors, indoors, and the year around without any equipment other than a pair of tongues. Let two or three be gathered, and there will be criticism. However, although it costs nothing in terms of money, criticism may be very expensive amusement in terms of the psychological price that must someday be paid. The source of information from its vantage point of seeing cause and consequence over long spans of time frequently gave sharp and explicit warning to people who erred conspicuously in this direction. In the following case, he says, we find that the entire entity has the inclination to become rather severe in its criticism of others. This should be tempered, for what one says of another will usually become one's own state in one form or other. I'm repeating this part. What one says of another will usually become one's own state in one form or other. Here we have an explicit statement of moral cause and situational consequence, which suddenly recalls certain rather cryptic declarations of the Christian Bible. Jesus said, "But I say unto you that every word that men shall speak, they shall have to give account thereof in the day of judgment. For by thy words thou shalt be judged, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned." It does not seem illogical to identify the day of judgment referred to with the time when the karmic debt falls due. Again, not that which goes into the mouth of defileth a man, but that which comes out of the mouth of that defileth a man. And again, judge not that you be not judged. For with what judgment you judge, you shall be judged. And the interpretation, unquote now. And then interpretation is, in simple terms, it means that if you criticize somebody by committing a mistake, in all probability, you will end up doing the same mistake. I will now give some examples from my own life to show with what precision this can come back to you in your own life. The first example is when I was doing my engineering course, one sir had given a problem and was taking rounds. When he came to me, he stopped and rebukingly asked, "What are you doing?" He was thinking that I was doing the problem wrongly. I explained and he said it is okay. And in my mind I said, useless fellow. He did not understand what I was doing. Years later, as a research scholar, I had to assist the professor in the tutorial classes. The professor would give us all the solutions and I used to go through it and then go to the class and help the students if they found difficulties in solving the problem. As I was going around in the class, I found a student working out the problem in a different way than the solution given to me by my professor. So I asked him, what was he doing? He explained and I found what he was doing is correct. And I said it's okay. And I moved away. I knew he would be saying useless fellow. The next example is, I was walking down and was reaching a junction. A lorry had just turned and taken the road to the right. When I reached the junction, I heard a sound and looked in the direction and found that the lorry had gone and hit the electric post. I waited, and when a man came from the direction, I asked him what happened. He said there was a petrol tin in the kept next to the driver, and when the lorry took the turn, it fell down, and then the driver bent down to take the tin and lost control. In my mind, I just said, how can he be so careless? Next time I went home, I took my brother-in-law's car, and my mother told me, be very careful, he maintains the car so very well. On the way, I picked up a tricycle for my son and had kept it in the back seat. As I was driving, I remembered what my mother said, and so wanted to make sure nothing is going wrong, and looked back at the tricycle and found one of the pedals was pushing against the seat, and it may rupture it. So I started adjusting it. My wife suddenly shouted, "Yo!" and I looked to the front and saw the car was going straight to a milestone. It did not occur to me that I could apply the brake. I tried to steer the car away, but finally went and hit the stone. I remembered my criticizing the lorry driver. How can he be so careless? Next, of course, is another incident like that. Not only criticizing, but if you feel arrogant about something, that also comes back to you. In the final year of my engineering course, I was doing an experimental project. Though I completed most of the experiments, some of them could not be completed. So I wrote in my report, due to limited available facilities in the laboratories, the experiments could not be carried out. While writing this sentence, I felt my work is of such greatness that my college could not provide me facilities. Later, after my master's program, I applied to the Bombay IIT for the doctoral program. The reply I got simply said, due to limited available facilities of the laboratory, we are unable to offer you a scholarship. The similarity of the two sentences was so very precise, I was astounded. Thank you for your listening.